Hey guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Will Be Expletives, the vodcast. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
And we got a little bit of stuff to get to today. Little movie you might have heard of, Ron. It's called Star Wars. It's kind of an indie,
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. Apparently it's got some laser wizards or some shit in it. I don't know. It doesn't really sound like it'd be my thing.
Wait, I could get into laser wizards.
So apparently there's been 8 of them too. That was news to me. But we got the first official poster and title for Star Wars Episode 8, and it is The Last Jedi. What were your initial thoughts to that, Ron? It's a pretty generic title, isn't it?
It's pretty generic, and haven't we already done that? I mean, I know it was Return of the Jedi, but
my initial reaction was, that's kind of generic. But then I thought back to the rest of them, and they're all generic as shit. So that's kind of par for the course, I suppose.
It's true. I mean, Force Awakens is pretty generic.
Because, like, A New Hope, on the nose. Empire Strikes Back, that's the third act. Return of the Jedi, on the nose. The Phantom Menace is the worst movie, arguably, but it probably has the best name because it's the only one where there's kind of some, like, vagueness to it.
Dude, and, like, Attack of the Clones happens in, like, the last 10 minutes of the movie.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, Attack of the Clones and the Clone Wars didn't happen in Star Wars at all. It all happened in the fucking cartoon that no one watched. Fuck you, George. And Revenge of the Sith. That's the whole movie. And yeah.
Yeah, I know. And what's funny is it doesn't really feel that vengeful. It's just more like him taking over. Like it was a cool title, but it was more like Coup of the Sith.
Yeah. Well, the only reason that title even existed was because originally Return of the Jedi was Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah.
Have you ever seen what those posters go for on eBay?
Oh yeah.
Because they had actually printed a few things before they changed the title.
Yeah.
Because all those vengeful Jedis out there.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing is, like, it is a generic title, but there is some ambiguity to it, just as to who they're talking about, or if Luke's gonna die. I don't think Luke's gonna die because they just ended the last one by killing off one of the main stars.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're gonna kill Luke. I think it might end up having some some hidden meaning behind it that we don't know yet, because this is being written and directed by Rian Johnson, who did Looper, one of the best sci-fi movies to come out the last few years, did some of the very best episodes of Breaking Bad that they had on the show. So I have a lot of confidence going into it. I do really dig, though, on the poster, how the outline of the logo is all in red, when it's always typically been, like that gold yellow color. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not as... Do we have a Disney thing this year? Is there like a Disney event?
D23? Did we? I don't know. It's every other year, right? Did we have one last year?
I don't think we had one. So I would imagine we'll be getting a shit ton of Star Wars stuff. Like, just the whole D23 is gonna be another episode 8, and with a bit of Han Solo, if they have anything ready for it yet. But I want to say it was coming out this year for D23, because didn't we cover D23 last year in the first year of the podcast? Doesn't that sound familiar to you?
Possibly.
Because didn't they have...
It's July 14th through the 16th at the Anaheim Convention Center, 2017.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, because remember we talked about how at the last D23 they had stuff for the Falcon. They had the drone and stuff with Red Wing, so yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, D23 is going to be nothing but Star Wars, and the last time they did that, they actually put the trailer up pretty quickly on YouTube.
Yeah.
I'm hoping they continue that trend, because they're stupid for not, if they decide not to. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I didn't like nor hate the title, because no one gives a shit about the Star Wars titles. They never have.
Yeah, they just refer to them by number most of the time.
Yeah. It does have a one-up on Star Trek, because the newest Star Trek title is the a venereal disease abbreviation. So they do have the one-up on STD. All right, next up in the news. This one's pretty interesting to me. David Ayer, the director of Suicide Squad, actually kind of had I believe he put it out on Twitter, but it was obviously more than 140 characters because he actually put out like a decent sized chunk of just his raw thoughts and reactions to Suicide Squad, how it turned out as a story, the reaction to it, and I wanted to include a portion of it. You can find his full thoughts on online, but the part that I wanted to include was this is David Ayer himself. I wish I had a time machine. I'd make the Joker the main villain and engineer a more grounded story. I have to take the good and bad and learn from it. I love making movies and I love DC. I'm a high school dropout and used to paint houses for a living. I'm lucky to have the job I have. I have to give the characters the stories and plots they deserve next time. Real talk. And no, there isn't a secret edit of the film with a bunch of Joker scenes hidden in a salt mine somewhere. First of all, I applaud David Ayer for actually coming out and being candid about the movie, which I thought was much better than Batman v Superman. And I'm actually going to call out Zack Snyder, who you and I defend more often than most people. I have not heard a peep from Zack Snyder about BVS at all. Not a word. The only person who has there's two people who have come out and actually been candid about BVS, and they are Jeremy Irons and Ben Affleck. They are the only people I've heard even speak about it. So I want to actually give a lot of props. It is hard to give 2 years of your life to a project and then have to go out after the fact and be candid about it and be open to the fans.
I always really liked David Ayer. You can tell he really loves what he does.
Yeah.
But yeah, him coming out like that is pretty awesome because I mean, you've seen Fury. I mean, that was his baby for a while. I mean, he went from that to Suicide Squad. And while, like you said, it is much better than Batman versus Superman, I've seen better movies, but I've seen far worse movies like Batman versus Superman. So
yeah,
I mean,
it
wasn't a bad movie. It was a good movie.
Here's my entire thing about Suicide Squad. I think a lot of the reaction that has happened to Suicide Squad is kind of unfair because when you watch Suicide Squad in the first 10 minutes of the movie, the way they open the movie and it's just little like basically teaser trailers for each character and they're blaring, pop songs with it. It's clearly not taking itself too seriously, which I don't think you should then go after it like you would a Christopher Nolan movie or a Martin Scorsese movie. But unfortunately, and I think that this should actually be a topic we talk about on a future episode for the second half of an episode, there isn't a cookie cutter way, in my opinion, to go about analyzing film, period. I think there's a way to analyze Pacific Rim, and there's a way to analyze Moonlight or Arrival. I think you have to take these movies that are coming out, nowadays and take them on a case-by-case basis. I'm not going to go and judge Suicide Squad expecting a 10 out of 10 masterpiece. Sometimes you're just meant to kind of go, shut your brain off for an hour and a half and have fun at the movie theater.
We really do need to make that a discussion point because people these days seem to forget that movies are meant to be fun.
Well,
that's all Suicide Squad basically set out to do. And I think it achieved it for the most part. I still want my Captain Boomerang spinoff that I'm not going to get, but
I think the problem is social media. As soon as everyone got a Facebook and a Twitter, everyone thinks they're Roger fucking Ebert and thinks they basically legitimize themselves by taking a piss on a movie that people work genuinely hard for. And there are much worse movies that you pointed out than Suicide Squad to go after, like BVS. The difference between BVS and Suicide Squad and why I think the harsher criticism is warranted towards BVS is because there weren't 5-minute theological discussions in fucking Suicide Squad, which was half the script of Batman v Superman. Anything Lex talks about is about fucking theology. Like the whole movie.
You know how you talked about the way the movie opened with it basically doing like a background or bio on each character that was coming up?
Yeah.
I even read an article that bashed the movie for doing that, for spoon feeding the audience the characters. I'm like, first off, a lot of these characters are like C-list. Like your
If you're
general
being
audience,
nice. If
your
you're
general
being
audience
nice.
has no idea who the fuck they are. So, second off, like you said, it established pretty well that it's not going after, all the awards or anything. It's not a Martin Scorsese film. And they established that pretty quickly with that opening scene. And it was actually one of my favorite things that they did because of the cameos they had in it.
Yeah,
So,
it's just like the thing about it is obviously Suicide Squad isn't a perfect movie. It wasn't executed flawlessly, but I think they at least kind of got the tone right. Batman v Superman fucked the tone up.
oh God.
There's not but one joke in the whole movie that was included in the trailers. When Suicide Squad was happening, I wasn't looking at my phone praying to God that the movie was going to end sooner rather than later.
Oh, I know.
And I know this has kind of turned into more of a conversation about BVS versus Suicide Squad, but I think it's for good reason because David Ayer is actually taking one on the chin, going out of his way to talk about it, and Zack Snyder really needs to open his fucking mouth, in my opinion. And
not only that, a lot of people lump them together. I think one of the biggest weaknesses Suicide Squad had was following Batman versus Superman. Because it kind of set the audience's tone of what they expected.
And people went in pissy.
They went in pissy. They went in ready to just, be pissed off about everything. And it's not really fair because, one, it was a project that was assembled at the same time Batman vs. Superman was. It's nothing. Yeah. It's nothing, that became about as a result of Batman vs. Superman. But it's kind of its own thing, its own standalone project. But,
I do agree with him, too. I actually like the point he made. If the Joker was going to be in the movie, the Joker should have been the antagonist and actually had a point within the movie.
When I saw the trailers, that's what I thought they were going to do.
Yeah, that was the most logical thing to do. But it's hindsight. It's always 2020. I do think moving forward, especially how he's doing reportedly the Harley Quinn movie with Margot Robbie, the further they get away from this Suicide Squad movie, and if they do end up doing a Harley Quinn movie, I do think that's a really good thing because the less characters you have to juggle in and out, the easier it is to make the movie. Because this was a bit of a clusterfuck with the characters he had to put together.
Yeah. It also didn't help that the same year we also had Assault on Arkham come out. And Assault on Arkham, I thought, was pretty solid, actually.
Assault on Arkham is the best Suicide Squad movie we'll probably ever get.
And Boomerang was amazing in that, too. And the Joker was like the main antagonist again.
Yeah, that is how you should use the Joker, is in that. Maybe they specifically didn't want to just remake Assault on Arkham.
I would have been fine with that.
Yeah, I would have been totally cool with that. I'd have been totally cool. But yeah, we've been talking about a director who was humble and down to earth, and now we're going to talk about the opposite. And his name is James Cameron.
James Cameron, explorer of the sea. Oh God, South Park, I love you.
So okay. The internet has delved into two types of news that I have found while I've been working on this podcast with you over the last couple of years. There is news that might happen, and there's news that no fucking way in hell is it ever going to happen. There's a whole lot more of option 2, it seems like, than option 1.
Yes.
I don't know how to feel about this because there is some facts behind it. Like, okay, if you didn't know this, the rights to Terminator revert to James Cameron in 2019.
Right.
I don't know how he finagled that, but only James Cameron can, I guess, swing getting the actual fucking rights back to Terminator.
Well, he has to get some thanks for raising the bar, Geoff.
It's true. Actually, the best news about this is any brain power he shifts towards Terminator is away from Avatar sequels, which I do not want.
Right.
But James Cameron gets the rights back to Terminator, and he's talking about starting it up again with Tim Miller, the director of Deadpool, and which adds some credence to this actually being a thing because that's a specific pool. It wasn't like he threw out like I want to go get someone. He actually had a specific name that is a bit of a Deadpool was a great movie, but he's not even directing Deadpool 2. It's a bit of an off the wall choice. This is per Deadline. Cameron is godfathering a new incarnation of the film with Deadpool director Tim Miller, who is in early talks to helm it. They are calling it a reboot and a conclusion of one of cinema's great science fiction tales. Okay, Ron, how can something be a reboot and a conclusion at the same time? That made no goddamn sense to me.
Time travel. Time travel. I don't know, dude.
I don't know. Even with time travel, it makes my brain hurt trying to understand that sentence. They go on. David Ellison.
Does that mean the machines win? They finally got John Connor?
I hope so. The machines winning are a better alternative than what we're undergoing right now. I can tell you that. Okay, David Ellison, who is the Skydance boss who co-financed Terminator Genesis, is working with top science fiction authors, basically a writer's room, to, quote, find the movie creatively. So, okay,
so they basically have a brain trust.
I actually like that for this movie. First of all, Tim Miller is a talented director because Deadpool was a really good movie. I like if that ends up being the choice. I like that they're apparently going with a writer's room full of science fiction authors, which has always been my biggest complaint about The Flash, is The Flash is trying to do time travel with a room full of people who don't know how to fucking write time travel. Jesus fucking Christ, guys. This is not rocket science.
It's not exactly brain surgery.
So now you are I love Terminator mostly because of Terminator 2, but you are a massive Terminator fan. What are your thoughts on this whole shebang?
I don't know. As a Terminator fan, I'm kind of torn because James Cameron, but also at the same time, James Cameron. So it's like,
hey, if he's producing a Terminator movie, that means he's not busy directing Avatar sequels, and that is a good thing.
It's true.
I feel like this works either way.
The way I've been seeing Terminator lately is, I think they'd be better off going with like spin-off films in their own universe and just we're done with John Connor.
So you want to see movies set within the Terminator universe that don't star John Connor and the other characters?
Yeah, I think that way you can do, like Rogue One is in the Star Wars universe. It's not really, it's a Star Wars story, but it's not canon to the main overall picture. It's separate.
Yeah.
And I know you can argue that point, but that's the way even Disney saw it when they made the film. I think doing something like that with Terminator, because they've made so many, and they, and you can say what you want. I've liked them all. I like them with varying degrees. 1 and 2 are by far the best. 2 definitely being the best.
Yeah.
But, I think at this point, if you want to get audiences interested in Terminator again, that's the way to go. Just do something new. I'll give Terminator Genesis, I'll give them this. The way they went about being a reboot was pure fucking genius.
Yeah, I actually thought Terminator Genesis was put together pretty well. It wasn't like an incredible cinematic achievement, but it was pretty fun, and I didn't think that it was okay. This kind of ties in what we were talking about earlier. Like, people got real pissy about it, but they get pissy about everything. I actually didn't think, like, Terminator Genesis, no matter what people say, was not Transformers 2 level offensively bad.
Yeah.
It wasn't complete dog shit.
What blew my brain is I just expected, like, semi-reboot, like soft reboot kind of. I did not expect the fact that it's a reboot being the main plot point. They have screwed with time so much now. Everything is jumbled up the way it was. That was pure fucking genius, and I would give them that. But I think one of its biggest problems is it's just kind of more of the same.
Yeah.
Ish. And everybody's seen Terminator 1 and 2 many, many times. 3 and Salvation, people seem to go back and forth on which one. Like, some people See, it seems like the people that like Salvation hate 3, and the people that love 3 hate Salvation. I think just get away from all of that.
The thing is, though, it's like, what's the story? What's the story? Like, I think Star Wars, since it's so wide open, lends itself better to spin-offs that have nothing to do with the main plot. Like let's say you were one of the writers in the writers' room for Terminator, trying to come up with what to do next. What do you do? Like, I agree with you in that they need to branch off and quit just, regurgitating the John Connor storyline. But what do you do?
Well, one, it would be nice to actually see one set in the future somewhere, a little bit further along than Salvation.
That should be step one that they do.
If the story of how they caught the T-100 for the for Terminator 2 would be nice. That would be cool to see. If you wanted one modern day, one thing that could be kind of cool is something that Doctor Who kind of did with some of the Capaldi episodes, where you could have maybe in, like, say, Terminator 1, when Kyle Reese came back and the T-100 came back, maybe each party sent more than one person. So you've got, like, CGI overlaid scenes with Kyle Reese in the background, scenes from the first movie, as, unbeknownst to them, there's another battle going on protecting each side from the other.
Oh, yeah.
The way that Doctor Who laid in, like, the original Doctor in episodes and stuff. I think that could be a pretty cool idea. Like, there's this whole other battle going on that you never even knew was happening, and the reason certain events happened in the first movie was that other battle.
Yeah, honestly, if they want to make it cool, they need to just get Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies in a room, and that's your writer's room.
Pretty much.
Just do some wibbly-wobbly, timey robot shit, and we'll make it into a movie. It'll be fine.
Just think timey-wimey and Cybermen.
You're not leaving the fucking room until we have a script in place, okay? I'm just curious.
The one thing I've always been interested to see is how they got the T-100 for Terminator 2.
I agree. That would be kind of cool. You know what would also be cool? I would like to actually see, you know how in Spectral, a lot of the movie was from the point of view from the soldiers? If you did first-person perspective from the soldiers going up against the Terminators, that'd be pretty fucking metal.
Hardcore Henry versus Terminators?
Yes. Also, why do we have a crossover universe with shit like The Mummy and Mr. Hyde and blah, blah, blah? Where is my Terminator, Aliens, and Predator movie? That's the crossover I want to see.
Like, they got a link. James Cameron's for 2 of those, and Aliens and Predator have a history.
Yeah. Where's that fucking movie, Hollywood? Assholes. Dude. All right.
Another idea I had before we move on, also, just to further answer your question. Just an all-out fucking war movie set in the future with the war against the machines.
That is my whole issue with Salvation, because it was just like,
that's what the trailers promised us.
Yeah,
in Salvation.
My whole issue with Salvation is it's like the prequel comic, and the actual thing everyone wanted to check out never happened. It's like, why? Why is this a thing?
It's always teased. Just fucking give it to me.
Well, they're gonna make a Resistance Wars cartoon from the people who brought you the Star Wars: The Clone Wars cartoon, and it'll be just the best thing you've ever seen. Because none of the sci-fi wars never actually happened on screen. Actually, now that I think about it, the Doctor Who stuff never really happened on screen either. That's I guess it's a sci-fi trope. They never actually show you the shit happening.
One thing that I've always wanted to see is in a lot of the books based in the Terminator universe, there's these fucking creepy Terminators that are like the precursor to the T-100. Their skin and stuff's made out of plastic. They're more or less like mannequins.
Oh yeah, like the dudes in Doctor Who. I forget their name.
The Autons, I think. Something like that.
Autons
or something like that. Yeah, dude. Like, that would be fucking terrifying. Like, their facial expressions and everything are static. And, like, they're missing
pieces,
so there's, like, robot skeleton here and plastic there and stuff. And it was, like, the first... It was the first time the machines basically tried to mimic what a human looked like.
Yeah, yeah. They have. I think that's such a good point too. Mine through the novels.
Yeah.
The novels are a good source of more original ideas than most of the movies have shown so far. Can you give me a time check, Ron? I need to know how quickly I need to run through these.
25 minutes.
Okay, we're gonna run through these real quickly. We had one bit of TV news. Samurai Jack officially has a release date for season 5. Fuck yes. Oh my god, I'm so stoked. It's set for March 11th. We are getting 10 episodes, dude.
Fuck
10
yes.
episodes. This is like this Samurai Jack season is like the Old Man Logan of Samurai Jack. It's gonna
That's
be
what it
bloody as
sounds
shit.
like.
It's set 50 years in the future, and it's 10 episodes. It's gonna be balls to the wall crazy, and I want it all over my face, neck, and chest right now.
Jack, Samurai Jack.
I love Samurai. You think now they're all on Hulu, Ron? Are you gonna run through them?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna burn through them. I just haven't yet.
I did that a couple of months ago. It's even better than you think it is. Going back and revisiting it because there are a lot of jokes. Samurai Jack is another one of the cartoons usually we like to throw in like Batman the Animated Series, and as far as the shows that are all accessible for all ages. Samurai Jack's a good one too. I think you could watch Samurai Jack if you're 5 or if you're 50 and you would still like it.
Yeah, and it does a good job of like what Batman versus Superman. We talked about it so long, that's what's stuck in my head now. Batman the Animated Series does, where there's a lot of shit that happens that's pretty dark, but the way it's presented is in a bit of a lighter tone. So, like you said, if you're 5 years old, the weight of the material kind of goes over your head, and if you're 50 years old, you're just like, shit, I watched this as a kid. This isn't a kid's show.
And now we get the final season, which is not all ages appropriate at all, and I want it bad. I'm so excited. This is one of the things I'm most excited about this entire year of awesomeness.
I love that dude, and I don't even know his name, but he's responsible for Dexter's Lab, Powerpuff Girls, Samurai Jack.
Genndy Tartakovsky.
Bless you.
Yeah,
I've already forgot.
Yeah,
but
I really like that guy too, and he did the actual good Clone Wars cartoon, the one I showed you, where it was the actual 2D animation.
I forgot that was him. Yeah.
Yeah, real good stuff. If you haven't seen that, okay.
I should have known too, because he has a very unique style of animation.
And I loved seeing Yoda in his art style because it was so awesome.
Obi-Wan was pretty cool too.
Yeah. All right, we actually had more gaming news than TV news, ironically. First up in the gaming news, Mass Effect Andromeda is getting a demo 5 days before its release. 10 hours, a full copy of the game that you just have 10 hours access to. All of your progression carries over. So you're moving so far. This all sounds awesome. It's only going to be an EA Access exclusive, which is EA's personal subscription service, which by default makes it a PC and Xbox One exclusive.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Once again, PlayStation players are boned by the X-Bone.
So I want to know...
PlayStation players are X-boned.
I want to know how much money Microsoft had to pay them, because PlayStation 4 has outsold the Xbox One almost 2-1. So they had to throw down some shekels to get that shit, even for 5 days. 5 days of Andromeda, a Mass Effect major title, is fucking huge.
Yes.
So, yeah. I think they, sacrificed...
someone's
goats.
firstborn.
They sacrificed firstborns. They sold naming rights to all future Microsoft children. Yeah, it was something bad.
Yeah, that's... I don't know. I don't even know how to feel about that. They keep trying to screw us, dude. We had to wait a year for Tomb Raider.
I'm still upset about that.
I know. Now would probably be a good time to plug your source. What website you pulled that from?
Oh, well, the actual source that I used was GameSpot, but if you would like to check out a full article about me talking about this, I'm actually now an intern writer for RageSelect.com. If you go to the homepage, It should still be in the carousel at the top for the news. So if you want to check out my stuff on there,
Congratulations, sir.
Do what?
Say congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much. I've never actually wanted anything framed until my first byline. It was pretty neat.
Yeah, finally, that was the only way you're ever going to get anything published because you never finish any of your books or short stories. So
yeah,
it's like,
pretty bad.
Yeah.
I can finish a 400-word article. I just can't finish an 80,000-word novel. So. Yeah, people seem to be liking it, and I really appreciate everyone who's taken the time to read it.
It was put together pretty well, man.
I appreciate really it, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. We had one little bit of gaming news, and then we were done with the news. Dark Souls 3 has a trailer for the final bit of DLC, maybe the final bit of Dark Souls, period. We don't really know how it's going to shape out in the future, but it is called The Ringed City. What were your thoughts on the DLC trailer, Ron?
I mean, nothing too exciting, really.
The first DLC's trailer was a lot better.
The first DLC's trailer was a lot better. And if the first DLC hadn't boned me the way that it did,
and you didn't even play it, you just watched it,
I would probably be a lot more excited for it. Because, I mean, the Painted Word of Ariandel and the stuff that we saw in the trailer, like, I was really hoping that was Velka. You know, like it seemed to fit what we know of Velka. And we didn't get really any new Dark Souls lore, Dark Souls 1 lore, like, at all.
You got one minor detail, which is in the form of a really cool character that I want to go into detail about just in case you haven't gotten to play it yet, because it's a pretty massive spoiler, because it's the one thing I took out of the lore of the DLC that I actually liked. I don't want to spoil it. You know who I'm talking about. It was done really well. I thought the boss designs were incredibly lacking.
I thought there was a lot lacking. It was a big, expansive world that just had a bunch of trees shooting fire at you, and that was about it.
The big dog was cool. I like the big dog.
I like the fact that it stalked you.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
The biggest issue with it is I don't know what ended up being the case for this. I don't know if it was because they wanted to get the arena function out quicker, but this should not have been a two-part DLC. This should have been stocked up into one, the exact same way that the Artorias of the Abyss expansion and the Bloodborne expansion. They were both one big DLC. Because that was not a lot of people didn't get the season pass and just straight up bought the first DLC. That is not worth $15.
No,
not even a little bit. It's not worth $10 in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I get people being pissed off about, and I get a lot of their complaints about it.
I mean, come on. The best DLC in Dark Souls that we've ever seen was Artorias of the Abyss's storyline. I mean, that was masterfully done.
Yeah, like, we didn't get dick all from the DLC lore at all. Some of the stuff you get in the Artorias DLC is, like, game-changing. Literally, because you get the full background on Artorias. You get the
Artorias was a character that was alluded to that no one gave two shits about until that DLC.
Yeah, and you get the full background, and then as the cherry on top, you see the furtive pygmy, like one of the main characters in all of the lore. Do you want to know what I think happened with Dark Souls 3 in these DLCs, Ron? You want to know what I think happened?
What's that?
I think Dark Knight Rises happened to it. I think, much like Christopher Nolan and his brother in Dark Knight Rises, I don't think Miyazaki had any interest ever returning to the series after Dark Souls, because if you go back and look at every Miyazaki FromSoft Souls title, Demon Souls, one-off. Dark Souls, if it wasn't successful, it was going to be a one-off, because what did he do immediately after that? His brain shifts completely 180 to Bloodborne.
Yep.
He has no interest in sequels, and he likes setting up a universe that is ambiguous and told in one storyline. That is why we didn't get Velka. That is why there isn't anything in Dark Souls 3 really that has to do with Dark Souls 1. He doesn't want to tell you anymore because in his opinion, his story is closed. And I actually respect him for that. At first, I was upset, but over time, I've gone to actually respect him for this, because
The final stage is acceptance, Geoff.
Yeah, okay, the 7 stages of Miyazaki. I think this doesn't bode well for. I mean, it might end up surprising us because apparently, first of all, the trailer doesn't really tell you anything that's happening. That's par for the course. But some of the tidbits that have come out along with the trailer, as far as stuff that you see in promotional images and stuff like that, apparently the Abyss is going to be heavily involved in this trailer. That isn't displayed really at all.
Not at all.
That's always been one of the things I found most fascinating. I don't know if it is in there, why it wasn't featured. I don't know. This trailer was just not done very well because at the very minimum, you and I are not excited for it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But what I think this bodes well towards is FromSoft's next game directed by Miyazaki, because you can tell his brain has already shifted gears to the new project. And I actually am okay with that. We just need to get to the point where FromSoft as well, let the man do what he does best. Quit shoehorning sequels in, because what happened was we got Dark Souls 2, which Dark Souls 2, if you just played in a nutshell and you had never in your life played any of the other Souls games, is not a terrible game. The very worst Souls game is still better than 90% of other video games because of how they're put together.
I would rather just watch Happy Souls on loop than play Dark Souls 2.
And with Dark Souls 3, like you alluded to earlier off camera, is just mostly Bloodborne with the Dark Souls 3 DL skin that has fuck all to do with Dark Souls.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. So just let the guy make new games. That's not a bad thing.
Especially since he's wanting to return to mech games. Dude, I miss me some Armored Core. I doubt it's going to be Armored Core, but it's going to be Armored Core-like, probably.
Here's the thing, too. He said Souls is done. He has said he's done with Souls. Bloodborne still played kind of like Dark Souls. It doesn't mean this style is done.
Right.
It just means Dark Souls is done, which good, because I'm kind of done with it, I think. If I put enough time and investment into it, I feel like after Dark Souls 3, which was a good game, but I am more intrigued by the next project they do than I am the DLC, which is a shame, but that's just how his mind operates, and it has given us so much good material. Let it work the way it does. Let the guy do what he wants to do. Don't fucking strap his ass to a desk like poor Hideo Kojima for 45 years.
Right.
Where fucking the Kanazis walk in and throw him a ham sandwich every day and expect him to turn out a Metal Gear game. It's like, come on, man. But yeah. While we're talking about piss poor trailers, Ron, let's get to our topic of the week. Why don't we?
Okie doke.
Give me a time check.
Time check. 37:30.
All right, we're good. We got to those last bits of info pretty quickly. Okay. Our topic for the week is the current state of movie trailers.
The current piss poor state.
Yeah. This is a pretty, wide branching topic. So just beware for rambliness, because Ron and I have not been quiet about our opinions about how we just think Hollywood has completely lost their minds when it comes to primarily the biggest movies. The movies that dominate the summer, that have $250 million budgets, are the ones they fuck up because they don't view it as a film. They view it as a money-making tool.
Yes. It's an investment, and they're wanting their return, is what it is.
What we talked about earlier, Terminator Genesis, completely tells you the whole third act twists verbatim. Why don't you, Ron, lead us off with spoilers in trailers and how awful that has become of a trend?
Oh my god, dude. Terminator Genesis is my go-to for how to not make a movie trailer. If it weren't for the fact that story ended up being as smart as it was, like a lot, it's incredible what they spoil in that. But like you said, the main twist is shown like 2 or 3 times in the trailer, and that just boggles my brain. Like, I'm going to sit through the movie for at least 40 minutes, maybe even an hour, before I even am supposed to start suspecting that twist. And you're just going to pop it in a 2-minute trailer.
Reason. It's Terminator.
Yeah.
It's Terminator.
I mean, I guess
you don't need to do that. I don't know. Why?
I don't get it. I just don't get it. I texted you this earlier today. I watched the Rings trailer. and the Rings trailer 2 back to back. Rings trailer 2 should have been the only trailer released for that movie. Rings trailer 1 was a synopsis of the entire movie beginning to end.
Fortunately, it's been like a year since I saw that, so I've completely forgotten that whole trailer, but I will not be seeking it out.
Don't seek it out, because I no longer need to sit down and watch the movie. I watched a 90-second version of the movie, and I got really all I need out of the movie from it.
I don't know what the name of the movie was, but do you remember when we went and saw Don't Breathe? And they had some random movie as a trailer at the beginning, and I was just like, it feels like they put the movie on fast forward with the audio going.
I don't remember what it was, but it felt like a 5-minute trailer too.
Yeah.
And like we were just for a second we were confused if
we walk
as to what movie we were sitting in.
Yeah.
I don't get it. I guess I do. It's what it is the stuff that was most successful in focus groups they are throwing into the trailer instead of letting the people that made the movie make the trailer. J.J. Abrams has some of the best trailers out there. To me, in the modern day, he's more or less the gold standard. The first Star Trek reboot that he did,
Under Construction.
Oh my god, dude! The Under Construction trailer, and then I'm
not even a Star Trek fan. I was like, fuck yes.
See, and you can argue that has the Star Trek name behind it, but what about that first Cloverfield trailer that wasn't even titled yet? It was J.J. Abrams' secret project.
The Cloverfield trailer was one of the ones I made a note to bring up today, because the first Cloverfield trailer, you don't see a monster. It starts out a cold open of just them at the party.
Yes.
And then the city starts getting torn apart, and you're like, what the fuck is happening? I'm intrigued. I want to see your movie. Movie didn't even have a name.
Yeah. I remember working projection booth, and that trailer came in, and on the band on the outside of the film, it said J.J. Abrams' secret project. And I remember me and my boss kind of going through it in the light, like, the fuck is this? And we're like, I don't know, is that the Statue of Liberty's head? Like, I don't know what's going on in this.
And that is a metal image to have, like, it sticks in your brain.
Right.
Now, Abrams produced it. I want to say it might have been his idea, that trailer, but he didn't direct it. I just wanted to quickly give props to, because the director, Matt Reeves, and Drew Goddard was actually the writer. They might have been involved in it too. I just wanted to give them a plug too, because the Cloverfield trailer is one of my all-time favorite trailers, just because you don't know what the hell it is. Because the problem that I think that Hollywood has is they have completely lost the sense of intrigue. That if you go back and, like, to me, like, the golden era of movie trailers and posters and everything was towards the late 70s and early 80s. Because, like, you remember back then, if you ever see, like, old movie posters or trailers, first of all, what's the first thing you notice, Ron? Most of them aren't even any more than 45 seconds long. Yeah. When did we get to the point where movie trailers are expected to be 2.5 minutes long? Because we can complain about the marketing team when you are told, okay, here's the movie. Give me 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes of shit that will get people in the seat. I can't really call them out for spoiling the best scenes of the movie, because there's only so much they can do. Like, it's just brutal.
I've seen 3, 4, and 5-minute trailers before. It's just absurd.
We're going to talk a little bit about TV in a bit and how it compares. Why the shit does AMC every Comic-Con throw out an 8-minute Walking Dead trailer? Why? It's the same type of thing. Why? It just makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it, because if you look at the formula for a movie or a TV episode or anything, the high points, the stuff that you're in the seat for, it's not very much of what you're watching. It's not very much of the movie. Most of the movie is built up to that point so you can appreciate it in context. When you watch it out of context in a trailer that for no reason is 2.5 minutes long, you know, you see it, you're like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. I'll see that movie, and it turns out that's the third act twist. It means nothing to you.
I
It
have
means
I have
absolutely nothing.
I have a comparison too I wanted to bring up because we were just talking about how it's the biggest things that get fucked up the most.
Yeah.
One of my all-time, probably top 5 or 10 favorite movies ever is The Dark Knight. Why the shit did we need to see the truck being flipped in the trailer for a Batman movie? Everyone and their grandma was gonna go see the motherfucking Batman movie. Why?
Especially with it being the sequel to Batman Begins.
That would have been so epic. If the first time you saw that trailer get flipped, you didn't already have it spoiled for you in half the trailers.
You know what? I'm one of the few people that didn't seem to appreciate the entire bank robbery scene being at the front of I Am Legend. That would have been really great to see in theaters in the movie when he reveals that it was the Joker the whole fucking time.
Well, I actually I didn't end up seeing the IMAX footage because I didn't see I Am Legend in IMAX, so I actually went in cold. But I could see if you had, because you worked IMAX, how it would be kind of a bummer.
Yeah, and not only that, I got to see it over and over and over because I was running I Am Legend. So
Yeah.
but that was 7.5 minutes if I remember. And dude, some people would get pissed. Like they wanted to know, like they thought we were running the wrong movie.
Yeah,
because it was that long.
because it wasn't like the opening of the movie was Batman, where you could tell it was a trailer. You could have easily thought they queued up like a crime drama.
Yeah.
It's not specifically Batman at first, so that's actually a good point. But here's the comparison I wanted to make.
Okay.
With Batman and The Dark Knight, they didn't need to show that, but they did. What happened? Same director, same pretty much clout. Is Christopher Nolan's Inception. When you watch the trailer that would come out 2 years later for his Inception film, you don't have any of the plot points spoiled. All they show you is the concept. Why? It's an original property that is not Batman. The studio did not get involved. So he got to actually just make his own trailer for the most part. And it was so much better because none of the third act is shown. And here is the way that I want to explain my criticisms of most trailers. Sell me on concept, not on plot. And that concept is lost on most Hollywood producers.
And not only that, there's certain things that asses are in the seats without showing anything, like Batman. You could have just given me like 1 or 2 clips of Joker dialogue and the bat symbol, which I believe was a trailer, actually, one of the first teaser trailer.
Yeah. My favorite Dark Knight trailer was the first time you ever heard or saw Heath Ledger. It was a blue bat symbol that was being lit up, and pieces of it were like fading away and stuff like that. And all you heard were voiceovers from like Batman and Lucius Fox and the Joker at the end of it, and Michael Caine's Alfred. That's all you need. My ass, you didn't even see a thing, and my ass was so in that seat opening night.
Job done. Why? Because it's fucking Batman, and I'm not missing a Batman movie.
Yeah.
You know, most people that aren't even into superheroes, they know Batman, and they're seeing Batman. I mean,
Batman is one of the 3 most recognizable comic book characters on the face of the planet. The 3 are Superman, and then Batman, and then Spidey is number 3. Those are the 3 most recognizable brands of superhero. I'm still upset about that Dark Knight thing because I wanted that to be saved. This is a huge thing. Just last week, I still haven't seen the Logan trailer because I want everything I can saved for the theater when my ass is in the seat when I'm there to watch the movie. It's just a shame that's where we've gotten.
I strongly suspect what I told you is true about that trailer. Some of the best action sequences and probably the best joke in the movie are in it. But beyond that, it's a pretty fucking fantastic trailer, dude. But
I can't wait to watch it after I watch the movie.
Don't watch it past the logos.
I won't be able to hit pause. I will not be able to hit pause, so I'm not even putting myself in that situation, Ron.
I don't get it. A movie I did not see, to be fair, but from what I've heard, and it's something you strongly suspected, Ghostbusters was not nearly as bad as those trailers were, and that one,
we could do an entire
baffles me.
We could do an entire podcast on the Ghostbusters marketing campaign.
That tells me that whoever they picked to do the Ghostbusters trailer, they did not even pick people that understood how audiences respond to comedy to do the trailer. Because the original movies were not necessarily straight up comedies, but that remake was. And they just tried to hit nostalgia buttons and show some slapstick and expected that to sell audiences.
Some bad slapstick.
All it did was piss me off, and it did give me some of the best tweets Ralph Garman's ever put out, though. But yeah, I ain't afraid of old jokes. That was a hashtag he used over and over and over. But
here's the thing.
That one really baffled me, because if what I've heard is true, all the worst parts of the movie are in the trailer, and that's the exact opposite of what most companies do these days. It's whatever whatever showed best in the focus group. So I don't even know. That one's out of left field for me, if that's true. I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I've only seen the trailers, unfortunately.
I might not ever watch it because I just don't care.
I just don't care.
They turned me off.
I'm a Ghostbusters fan. I grew up watching those as a child, and I'm never seeing that movie.
They turned me off just because of how awful the trailers were. Because now here's the thing too, is they've talked about how it might be a specific thing with that director. Like people say, because he also did, what's the name of the movie with Melissa McCarthy and Jason Statham? Do you remember that movie coming out? That comedy? It was
no,
I'm blanking on the name. They were just in it last year.
I didn't know Jason Statham was so hard up for work.
Well, we say that, but the dude's movies make money, that one included. But people are saying it might just be a problem with that. Spy was the name of the movie.
He's in that?
Some people are saying it might be a problem with the director. His comedy works better for the long haul over a film and not specific moments that work for a trailer. I don't know if I buy that. I haven't seen any of his movies. I can't comment. But the one thing I wanted to talk about too is television trailers, for the most part, seem to be getting a lot better. As far as I'm concerned, the only people in Hollywood who should be making trailers and advertisements are whoever runs Netflix's advertising campaign.
I'm assuming when you say that, you're talking about trailers and commercials for television properties, because TV spots for movies are just as terrible as the movie trailers.
I'm talking about trailers for television shows,
okay,
not TV spots. Netflix's, all their campaigns are gold.
Oh my god!
What did we just
I heart whoever works at Netflix and makes those trailers.
On Inauguration Day, that House of Cards teaser is chilling.
My god!
You haven't even seen an episode of the show, and you're like, I want it. Because it's so good.
It was so amazing, and the fact they waited for Inauguration Day. You and I think we'll both agree on this. That Jessica Jones ad campaign was far superior to the show.
Oh yeah.
And gave nothing away. They were original scenes made for trailers. They weren't even anything from the show.
They sold concept instead of plot.
Yes.
That's all you need to know. Luke Cage. Oh my god, that Luke Cage trailer.
Now they did show you stuff, and they did show you some fucking cool stuff that you wish you'd seen, but only from the first 2 episodes. You had another what was it, 13 episodes? Yeah. So you had another 11 episodes to go of shit you hadn't seen yet.
Some of the Daredevil season 2 stuff where you got Bernthal's voiceover was really cool towards the end.
Let's talk about Daredevil season 3 teaser.
Yeah, the subway one?
The subway one's fucking genius, dude. I'd be perfectly happy if there was never another trailer for Daredevil season 3. I've seen 2 seasons of the show and that teaser. That's all I need.
Well, I didn't even need to see the teaser because my ass was gonna be there opening day anyway. The one good one too. I just finished up season 1 of Series of Unfortunate Events, and their trailer by Warburton was absolutely genius because it totally sold what the show was going to end up being. The fucking theme song of the show is "Look Away." Like the whole intro is set up the exact same way. Netflix, I'm so impressed by all of their stuff. And
I
for
still
the
don't.
most,
I still don't get how their economics work. I don't know where they keep getting all this money for shit.
yeah, they're an enigma. I'm pretty sure they just have like a giant cave somewhere, and it's like Temple of Doom where they're just harvesting little children's labor. And I don't know. It's one of those things like the gnomes in South Park where it's like, the steps and then somewhere in there is profit, and I don't understand how step 2 works.
Yeah.
But who the fuck am I to judge them?
I have yet to watch a Hulu original, but their ad campaigns got me sold pretty well on a few of their properties.
Yeah, The Path.
The Path.
I watched the first couple of episodes of The Path. I didn't really like the show, but their trailer sold me to check it out.
The Path has some really good ads. Even when their season is like ongoing, their during season ads are pretty good. The Path, the one with the dude from Burn Notice.
Yeah, where he was like the fortune teller type thing.
Yes, I'm very interested in that show. I don't give two shits about anything about it, and I'm very interested in it just because the ads are done so well. And Chance looks pretty strong.
Oh, the Hugh Laurie one.
Yes.
I'm looking up the name of the new Jeffrey Donovan's the Burn Notice guy. I'm looking him up to see if I can.
I'm so glad I didn't say anything. I was thinking John. I'm like, I know it's not John.
Let's see. Yeah, because I really want to know what the name of that fortune teller show is. You want to know who also crushes it on trailers and television? HBO. HBO has killer advertisements. Everything Game of Thrones ever.
Anything Game of Thrones ever, and that John Oliver trailer.
Yeah, you finally watched that? It's so good.
Dude, I've watched it a few times actually.
It's where he's walking around the sets of all the other shows. It's fucking genius. I like their they have a little blurb too that's always accompanying the trailer, and it's like last week tonight with John Oliver, definitely one of HBO's Sunday night material. Let's see.
No one wants to hear a British man yelling at them about the world ending for an hour. It's actually a 30-minute show.
Shut-Eye. Shut-Eye is the name of the fortune teller show.
Shut-Eye. Yes, dude. That looks like it's right up my fucking alley, and I will be checking that out.
And actually, with some movie trailers, sometimes they do a good job. Typically, it's for the low-budget stuff. Don't Breathe. I actually thought Don't Breathe had some pretty good marketing. We didn't have but glimpses of it. You really don't know what you're going into. That's my favorite thing. I like going to the movie theater. Arrival had good marketing too. You have no idea what the fuck you're getting into when you're watching trailers.
I haven't seen the movie, but I've seen the trailer a few times on Arrival, and I really like that trailer. You know why? It didn't tell me a goddamn thing.
And we would be remiss if we didn't mention one of the all-time great trailers that sold you purely off concept, didn't show you plot, and they sold you off of a song, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy.
Dude.
Guardians of the Galaxy sold Guardians of the Galaxy to a fucking world that had no idea what the hell even was, myself included, who was a Marvel guy.
Dude, people... You're a comic book guy, but people that make you look like you hate comic books because they're so into comic books don't even know what the fuck Guardians of the Galaxy is, and it's like everyone's favorite movie.
It was one of the top 5 grossing movies of the whole year. It's just insane.
Actually, the MCU puts out pretty good trailers in general. Every once in a while, there's something I wish I hadn't seen. But
Doctor
for
Strange,
the most part,
Doctor Strange had solid advertisements.
Yeah, for the most part, they're pretty strong on concept only. But dude, every trailer that you ever saw for Guardians of the Galaxy told you jack shit about the movie. It was just a few scenes here and there that really didn't amount to much, and solid music that fit it perfectly.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the main thing is just get out of the way of the people making the shit, please. I know it's tough because there's a lot of people's like literally their livelihoods on the line because these things are huge, Goliath budget sized movies. But I'm just please step back and for the love of God, if we could just you and I, we always have the idea that if we were making a movie, just send the first third of the movie over for your marketing.
Yeah.
If we could just get to a point to where number one, drop the trailer times down. At most, we need a minute and 15 seconds or a minute and 30 at the absolute most. And I only want that if the movie's like 3 hours long and is like a Scorsese movie.
I was gonna say I think a minute would be good for me.
Yeah. If it's an hour and 45-minute superhero movie, like Deadpool's marketing campaign, maybe the all-time best.
And
it's absolute genius.
The best part about it too was just it relied more or less on viral marketing.
Yeah.
And
when you watch the Deadpool trailers, I can't remember ever really like, oh man, they spoiled like the best joke of the movie. I didn't get that from Deadpool.
I didn't get that from Deadpool, and also I was stunned when I sat down in that movie and it had a plot.
One of the best romantic movies of this last year.
It was a Valentine's Day movie.
It was a Valentine's Day movie, and we all thought it was just a joke. It wasn't. It's a legitimately romantic movie.
Yeah, it really is.
Fucking genius.
It was a romantic comedy that literally explained Voltron.
Yes.
But yeah, the moral of everything we're saying is let your creative people be creative. You put them in charge of the $250 million project, so go ahead and let them make a few more minutes of footage for you.
Yeah, and
that's all you got to do.
Terminator Genesis. Did spoiling the third act really help you earn ticket sales? No, there is no Terminator Genesis 2. You have factual evidence now. Some of this shit don't work. Oh, and Assassin's Creed. Maybe putting Kanye on the trailer wasn't a good idea.
What the actual
music choices? We could do an entire discussion topic on music choices in trailers because it's really important too. It can kill momentum for a movie, like with Assassin's Creed, like with Guardians of the Galaxy. It was like the whole heart and soul of it. Music choice is important.
Well, if you really want to talk about music choice, Assassin's Creed is the perfect example because a fan went in and removed Kanye and replaced it with the music that plays in the trailer for Assassin's Creed Revelations. That was an entirely different trailer, and it was the same footage and the same audio. It was just different music. And it was an entirely different trailer, an entirely different experience.
My last quick example for letting people go into a movie and having no idea what the fuck they're gonna watch, The Matrix. No one had any earthly idea what they were walking into that theater for, and that's awesome. That is awesome, and it didn't negatively impact it at all. Matrix is one of the most successful franchises ever. It had no impact on it.
It's one of the most successful franchises ever. It's one of the most recognizable when it's parodied.
Yeah,
and it was something that it just kind of defined a whole genre almost.
Yeah, it still continues to this day to be one of the maybe the most influential action movie of this century when you get right down to it. The way we film everything action-based is based off of The Matrix for the most part.
Changed everything.
Main thing, cut down the fucking trailer times, a minute 15 at the max.
I think that is a majority of the problem because, like you said, you got to fill time.
They're hamstringing the people doing it.
Yeah, and what are you going to do? Show people riding around in a car not talking? I mean, you got to show something.
To cut down on the times and just, for the love of God, get out of the way. Just get out of the way.
I mean, to me, it's not even that hard. Like I said, let your creative people be creative. You trusted them with $250 million for your superhero movie.
Exactly.
Trust them with another 10 minutes worth of trailers at most. Trust
Zack Snyder.
5 minutes.
Zack Snyder cutting together that first trailer for Comic-Con made BVS look good. They can do it if you
and
just
that's
get
no
out of
easy feat.
Exactly. They can do it themselves if you just get the fuck out of the way. But yeah. If you would like to check us out more, please like and subscribe. That gets you all of our content. Ron has put out some awesome highlight clip shows of our Tomb Raider playthrough as we prep to get into Tomb Raider 2 Rise of the Tomb Raider. We're excited for that. Be sure to check those out. Do you know when part 3 is going to be going up roughly sometime
Friday
soon?
the 27th.
Okay, cool. Be on the
This
lookout for
Friday.
that. Part 1 and part 2 are already up for the highlight shows of that. We have Facebook and Twitter links in the description below if you're curious about those. And please share us out to your friends if you know anyone else that might also enjoy our content. I'm Geoff.
I'm Ron.
This has been us bitching about Hollywood for the last hour. I hope you enjoyed it. I did. It's very cathartic complaining about Hollywood.
And I think we're finally living up to our name, having this discussion segment.
Yeah.
That's where most of our expletives are, it seems.
Exactly. Thanks, guys, and we will see you next week.